Hi, I'm Scruffy Looking RGB. In today's video, we'll be taking a quick glimpse at this awesome premium retro gaming emulation handheld. Behold, the Retro Lite CM4. I will be interviewing Ben about how he and his partner Dan created the Retro Lite, what it can do, and what he and his partner's plans are for it in the near future. If you stick around to the end, I'll give you my thoughts on this intriguing handheld device. So without further ado, let's get scruffy.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Scruffy, for having me on. Look forward to talking about the Retro Lite today.
What was your goal with the Retro Lite CM4?
I think the ultimate goal was to build just a comfortable retro gaming handheld that was quite powerful, that could emulate most of your old retro titles up to the Dreamcast, and to have, I think, full compatibility across all those games with 2 analog sticks, built-in Wi-Fi, and I suppose a long battery life, lasts for about 4 hours. So I think those were the main goals of the project, and I think we achieved, I think, most of those.
What separates the Retro Lite CM4 from the other devices out there today?
Yeah, I think with every device there's negatives and positives, but I think our device has a widescreen 16:9 display, fills the entire screen for games like PSP, and works well with widescreen hacks through RetroArch. And also I think you have that extra analog stick, so I know streaming via Steam and Moonlight is becoming really popular these days. So we have that extra analog stick to be able to play AAA games or more modern titles, I think is a real benefit of our console. And obviously I think built-in Wi-Fi 5.0 and Bluetooth is a nice feature to have, and some handhelds that come out of China only have 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is relatively slow. So overall, I think it's a pretty standard handheld, but I think there are some small benefits that make it better.
How did the idea of having HDMI output come about?
Yeah, I think it's relatively simple to actually route the HDMI signals for the PCB. Now, the Raspberry Pi CM4 itself has 2 HDMI channels, so it's literally just a matter of connecting the channels to the connector itself. So relatively easy, and I think a lot of modern handhelds have HDMI out over USB-C, or you have Thunderbolt ports, for example. Unfortunately, we didn't integrate that into one port, which would have made it a little bit more sleek, but overall, I think it was pretty easy to integrate that out.
Did you work on this project alone?
So the project was a collaboration. It was between myself and DMC5. So he actually reached out and suggested that we build something like this, and at first I was a bit unsure. However, with his help and expertise, we were able to get it done. A 50-50 effort. He put in a lot of effort too. But yeah, overall, I think to do a project collaboration was a great learning experience for me. I don't have a huge engineering background, so to be able to work with someone who's probably more capable than I am, I think was a great experience.
What are some of the features you planned or didn't plan that came about in the mod?
The HDMI video out would have been nice to have it through a single port. So having HDMI out through the USB-C port would have been nice. I think also on the go dongle, sort of being able to power your, for example, devices, keyboard, controllers through the USB-C port would have been a really nice feature. However, we are working in building a dock, so you'll be able to hook up external wired controllers to play 4-player and things like that. So we haven't finished that, but I think we're pretty confident that will be done soon. However, yeah, I think it would have been nice to have that built into the USB-C port, but it's obviously a little bit more hardware required and increases costs.
How did you decide to design the look of the CM4? I mean, it looks like it takes a lot of cues from the Switch.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We wanted to design a comfortable handheld, and I would agree that on the market the Switch is pretty comfortable. So that was our inspiration, and Nintendo always make great consoles. Design team does an excellent job, so we sort of wanted to replicate that some way. We got a lot of design cues from them. Yeah.
Did you make the buttons as well?
The buttons were made out of resin, so essentially making a mold to put resin inside to cast those buttons. So that was relatively difficult. We machined the aluminum positive for those buttons, and then pour silicon in, and then pour your resin in to get the buttons, and they came out really well. That's thanks to the recommendation of Scruffy here. Recommended some really good 2-part resin to use. So the buttons were quite simple. I think that was thanks to the really solid, positive aluminium polished molds. Yeah, I think the buttons turned out really well. I think obviously if we do go down the path of mass production, I think injection molding those buttons would probably be the best solution for making many.
You said you used aluminum mold. How did you get your hands on some aluminum molds for this project?
Yeah, that was a courtesy of my project partner as well. He has his own CNC machine, so he molded all the buttons onto a single plate, and then we casted the buttons that way. It was all polished and sanded down to be super smooth, and I think that's why the buttons turned out as well as they did. You know, obviously a combination of the good resin, but also I think having a great silicon mold is probably the most important thing when you're making any case or any button. Is that if your silicon mold has imperfection, it's going to pick up anything in buttons, as you would know. So.
Is there anything you'd like to add about the Retro Lite CM4?
I think the first thing I'd like to say to everyone is, yeah, we do plan on making a kit. We want to get this into people's hands as quick as possible so that people can enjoy playing the Retro Lite. However, there is some chip shortages and difficulties in the industry right now. So for timeline, I think probably middle of the year, maybe even longer. It's very hard to predict a date. However, rest assured that we are working on building a kit and trying to reduce the costs so people can get their hands on that.
Where can we find you on social media?
On Twitter. So if you're interested in following updates on the Retro Lite and when we plan to release any kits, just follow me on Twitter. Otherwise, if you're interested in more details into a teardown, I also have a video on my YouTube channel.
Okay, everyone, definitely go check out Stoned Edge or Ben on his Twitter account. It's right here on the screen. And his YouTube and Twitter will also be linked down in the description. I really do appreciate your time, Ben. Thanks for coming and talk to us today about your awesome Retro Lite CM4.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
This is my little review on what I've been able to check out from the Retro Lite CM4. It is quite a nice little handheld. It's not too heavy. Got that nice form factor. It borrows from the Switch, and it has this beautiful aluminum green shell that just looks amazing. They definitely did a really good job on this shell, and it plays everything and then some. Running on an emulation station through the Raspberry Pi CM4 platform, I've got to say it runs pretty darn smoothly. I mean, there are some hiccups here and there, but it is still being developed at the moment. They did a lot of custom things with this device, so I'm quite impressed with it. But let me know down in the comments what you think of what you saw today. Would you like to see more interviews with fellow modders and creators on this channel? Let me know about it down in the comments. In a very unfortunate turn of events, after the filming of this video, Ben's CM4 Retro Lite was stolen from him during a business trip down in Osaka. As you may know, it's very upsetting to have anything stolen, especially something you've put so much heart and effort into. If you're in Japan and have seen or heard anything about these two CM4 Retro Lites, please reach out to me here or Ben at this location here. I really hope that we can get these Retro Lites back unharmed. Question of the day: what did you think of Ben's invention? Would you be interested in grabbing a kit and attempting to put one of these bad boys together for yourself? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you have any additional questions about the CM4 Retro Lite, I have left links to Ben and his partner Dan's Twitter and YouTube account, where you can find regular updates on their current project, as well as check out some of their previous projects, which are worth checking out as well. Thanks again, everyone. Take care, but above all, stay scruffy looking.
Who's scruffy looking?